Hey guys, CalebBeg01 back again with the random horror reviews. I say back again because lately I've sort of dropped the ball with content coming out. I said that in my last video, but I also said that I'm trying to get back on pace with what I was doing earlier, and I had regular content coming out for you guys. So I just thought let's do another random horror review, and I decided to revisit my Anaconda set and chuck in the sequel, Anaconda 2 Hunt for the Blood Orchid from the year 2004. I say pull this set out again because if you don't know, not too long ago I did a review of the first Anaconda movie. This again is my set. It's got all 5 films in it. And I just realized then I'm wearing the same shirt as I did in my Anaconda review. That is just pure coincidence. I didn't even realize until then. I promise, guys, I'm showering. Yeah, I didn't even realize, but that's pretty weird. Anyway, and again, I sort of did a brief history with the Anaconda franchise in my Anaconda review, but I want to quickly go through that again because I said in that video that Anaconda is probably in my top 3 most watched movies of all time. But what I didn't include is how much growing up I loved the sequel also, which, as I said, we're doing a review on today. I didn't quite watch it as much as the first one, but either way, whatever film went in, I always had a good time with it. But just over recent years, I put Anaconda in a lot more than what I do for the sequel. Just it's a comfort movie for me, so this was a little bit of a revisit for me. I remembered having fond memories of it, so I was excited to chuck it in again. Before we get into the review, I'll quickly run through the plot. So basically, we have a scientific team who have discovered a flower in the jungle, and basically this flower has the potential of being basically a pharmaceutical version of the Fountain of Youth, as in it can make you live longer, or has the potential of making you live longer, live healthier lives. So obviously they want to get their hands on it because it's going to make them a lot of money and change the pharmaceutical game forever. So of course they want to get their hands on it. So they go on this expedition into the Borneo jungle. Just wanted to get that right. And while there, obviously, they come across some giant anacondas who want them dead. We'll leave it there. Pretty simple plot. As I said, very, very fond memories of this movie. I haven't seen it in a while, though, so I was really excited about revisiting it. And I have to say that I really did have a pleasant time going back and rewatching this one. Just like with the first movie, the adventure quality of this film is so strong. Even when there's no scenes with the anacondas or snakes, just trekking through the jungle and these characters interacting with their environment. Once again, the setting is great, but you have other insects like leeches, spiders. You have them dropping off waterfalls. You just have them trekking through the greenery. And as I said, that just makes the adventure quality of this movie so much fun, even when the snakes aren't involved. And that definitely is a very high point for this movie. The characters in this movie also not too bad, maybe not as memorable as the first movie, and not so much of a recognizable cast, but they do their job for the most part. Some of the acting is a bit over the top, but I do enjoy characters for the most part. There's some characters that I remembered when I was younger playing more pivotal roles in the story, but they really don't. But those characters, as I said, that I remembered very fondly, and once again they were so enjoyable in this one. It's unfortunate I don't think any of the cast in this movie get credited on either the front or back of this collection. And as I said, the OG movie had Jennifer Lopez, Ice Cube, Jon Voight. This movie doesn't have quite the, high tier cast, but as I said, for the most part they do their job and the characters are pretty enjoyable. one thing I remembered when I was younger is the snakes and the anacondas looking so cool. Unfortunately, that does not hold up at all. Now, the first one's a little bit nitpicky. I'm just a really big animal person, and I don't like the fact that the anacondas in this movie don't look like anacondas. They just look like regular pythons, except much bigger, obviously, because they're meant to be these big, monstrous snakes. But they just look like, a normal python that you'd see at the zoo or the pet shop. They don't look like anacondas. As I said, that's a little bit nitpicky. That's just because I'm an animal person. But also, they don't look that good because they are, for the most part in this movie, CGI. And when I say for the most part, I'd say about 90% of the movie. Just off the top of my head, there's one scene that I can think of where it's a practical snake. And it looks okay. But unfortunately, the CGI conquers overall for this movie with the snakes, and it doesn't look that great. Actually, I stand corrected because I'm pretty sure it's CG of the snakes in the water, and you even get some underwater shots. But you get some cool crane shots where you can see them swimming between our characters' legs. That actually looks really cool, but the snakes out of the water and all that stuff doesn't hold up. This movie, in a way, even though the first film isn't, mind-blowingly realistic or like this great, this great high-budget film, this one is a little bit more ridiculous. Just one scene that comes to my mind is one of our characters gets caught by an anaconda, and literally this character picks up a rock smaller than my palm, and throws it at the snake's head, and the snake dies. Like, that's just the scene that comes to my head. And as I said, like, the Anaconda franchise isn't known for being overly realistic, but I think there are a lot more ridiculous scenes in this one compared to the first one, but I think that just sort of adds to the charm and adds to the fun of it. Because overall, as I said, I had so much fun revisiting this movie. From when I was younger, I had it on this high-as pedestal, and I'm like, just because it's been a while, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be shit, and I'm gonna, be regretting chucking this in, and I should have just lived off the memory of this film. But I had such a good time. I don't really have much else to add to it from here, so I'll leave it at that, and I'll get into my rating for this movie. And for the rating, I think a lot of people are going to be like, what the fuck, that's probably a little bit too high, especially if you've seen this movie. But as I said, I just had a blast, and, even though the snakes didn't look that good, and it is a bit ridiculous at times, I had fun. The adventure quality was there. When the snakes do attack, the kills are pretty cool. And there was just a lot of deep down nostalgia that kicked back in, and I'm like, oh, I remember that. That was, I loved that as a kid, and, maybe didn't hold up quite as well as what it did back then, but I'm still having fun at the end of the day, so maybe a bit of a generous rating, but I'm going to give Anaconda 2, Hunt for the Blood Orchid, a 8 out of 10. That is a whole 0.5 lower than the first movie. Even the first movie, people were probably like, what the fuck, an 8.5, how'd you give it that rating? But I'm going to give Anaconda 2 an 8. Yeah, as I said, it's definitely a generous rating, but I just had so much fun. The nostalgia kicked in, and, maybe these movies aren't quite your cup of tea, but for me, I just feel like now I can safely revisit the sequel and not worry about it, not holding up, because now that I've rewatched it, I just had so much fun again, and I want to deep dive further into this set. I actually haven't seen Anaconda 4 before, and I haven't seen Anaconda versus Lake Placid, but I've seen the third one, so maybe revisit that, but we'll see. But thank you guys for joining me again for another random horror review. As I said, Anaconda, Hunt for the Blood Orchid from 2004, an 8 out of 10. yeah, just had so much fun. Definitely, guys, check it out. Maybe you do need to have a few drinks and turn your brain off and invite some friends over. But from me to you, I recommend it. So thank you guys for watching. I'm appreciating everyone who is supporting me coming back. As I said, I've had this little break, but I'm enjoying trying to get back on track with the videos, and yeah, hopefully more coming your way soon, guys. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys again soon.